Good morning. We just sang a song where we were thanking God for his constancy and his consistency. And I find the longer I live, the more deeply I understand just how true it is. And as I looked at this passage, and in the 5 different sermons and 9 hours of content I wrote for it, before I condensed it all into 20 minutes, there are a few things that come to my mind, and I've tried to put these together in a couple of different ways to make the most use of time. But before I do that, I have to give a little history lesson. I apologize, I just can't help it. When we look at this passage in Isaiah, and it's amazing to me, it's always amazing to me how Isaiah speaks to us as Christians. In fact, where I studied Bible at university, it was affectionately referred to as the gospel according to Isaiah. And it's amazing how well it fits, and hopefully we'll show that in a minute. But back up a little bit. In about 720 BC, a little earlier than that, Israel was 2 kingdoms. It was divided in half. There was a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. The northern kingdom was about 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom was 2. And they had become very different peoples. The northern tribes had pretty much forgotten about God. They wanted more modern, more fancy religions, and so they chose those that were among the more sophisticated cultures in the region, and basically had no intention of turning back to God. And over time, as the Assyrian Empire grew, they decided they wanted that land. So they came in and they took it, and they removed all the people there. And 10 tribes basically evaporated into history. We have no idea what happened to them. They were just gone. The 2 that were left in the south, Judah and Benjamin, carried on. They had their own issues, and they faltered, and they at times rejected God. They at times returned to God. But eventually, the same thing would happen to them. The Babylonians expanded into that territory and wanted that land, decided the Israelites were problematic, so they removed them. In 596, they carried them all off. They emptied out the land and they moved them to Babylon. And it's generally understood that this passage that we're talking about here today was probably written many years later. Now, eventually, the Babylonian Empire would collapse. They would go home, and this was probably written pretty close to that time. And there's some context clues in that we'll share, but it was toward the end. But I'm bringing this up because I want you to understand the state of the people that this was speaking to in the time. Because if we understand who this was meant for, it can better inform us and help us to better understand the entirety of the message. So at this point in time, everybody hearing Isaiah 55 would have almost no memory of their homeland. It would have been wiped away. They would hear stories from grandparents or great-grandparents who would have had memories of it, but it was second and third-hand knowledge. This was 60 years on. There was very few people, if any, who would have remembered. So they know this far distant land of Israel that was meant for them, that was promised them, but they've never seen it. They have no firsthand recollection. And so as we read this, we have to understand that this is a people who are longing for a home they've never seen. And so it's more poignant here as we set the setting. And it is in a way, it's kind of humorous, because when you read this, you understand, all right, let's imagine ourselves in Babylon at this time. It's roughly the late or the early 540 BC, the den of the crowds. And as Isaiah speaks here in this first few verses, he sounds like a street vendor, someone who's offering food to passersby. And you can see this in the language when he says, "Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. And you have no money, come buy and eat. Come buy wine, milk, without money and without cost." So it's the strangest street vendor you could possibly imagine, because he's enticing people to come and buy from him who have no money, but it's the best food they could possibly imagine. And this would have been a normal occurrence to the citizens who had lived in the city. They would be accustomed to people barking at them all day long for whatever they had to sell. But here's an interesting thing here. Come buy, but you have no money. Come and eat, but you have nothing to pay for it. There is a point here where you look at this and say, all right, well, if they're able to come and get this, who's covering the bill? Well, we know who's covering the bill. And if we think of it in terms moving ahead 500 or 600 years, that's apparent. Now, all of this that we're covering today, everything that was read, it's all New Testament stuff. Everything in here foreshadows the New Testament. In fact, I have a slide here, if you wouldn't mind putting it up. This was another of the sermons that I would have done if we had another couple of hours. But basically, oh my goodness, the font's a bit small. I apologize for that. But basically, this is the entire passage with New Testament references throughout. So in every step of the way we have here, we have a New Testament comparison. So, for example, right off the bat here, come all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. Jesus told the Samaritan woman, whoever drinks of this water I will give them will never be thirsty again. Okay? The rest of these we'll draw on that as well. You can read them at your leisure. But the truth of it here is God is consistent. God is constant. In the time where he is using Isaiah to talk to the people, his people that are in Babylon, it's the same message. It's the same message. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But as he moves on, this is beautiful here. If any of you have had small children at some point, I encourage you to think about how many times he says, listen. Listen to me. Eat what is good. Delight in the richest fare. Give ear and come to me. Listen that you may live. Okay, so that's 3 listens and a give me an ear. That's about 5 to 9 year old in age. About how many times you have to ask to get them to hear you. But that's what he's saying. So not only do I have the best food and drink you could possibly want, I'm telling you, come here. And this is the nature of God. This is the nature of the one we serve. This is the nature of the God in heaven that we as a species have rejected time and time again. And time again, the constancy and consistency of God has come back to say, no, come to me. I know, you don't have any money. It's fine. What I've got for you, you don't need money for. And as we'll find out about, goodness, 540 years from now, roughly, someone else is going to pay the bill. We know that, right? Because we've seen it in hindsight. So he says, listen. And then he gets to the interesting part. As he's brought us in and he said, come, I'll provide this food for you. I will provide everything you need and you will live. He comes and he talks about making an everlasting covenant, with you through my faithful love promised by David. Now, obviously, David and God had a special relationship. We know this. But David is also a foreshadow for Jesus, right? So when he talks about making this covenant. Now, covenant's an interesting word here. And it's not the same thing as an agreement. It's not the same thing as some kind of a deal or an understanding. The thing about covenant in most cases is it was asymmetric. There's a more powerful one and a weaker one. And the agreement generally benefited the weaker one. So it's a caretaking agreement. It's like, I will step out of, this will not benefit me, it will benefit you. I'm doing it because it's right. I'm doing it because it's what I want to do. In the whole history of Israel, time and time again, God made asymmetric agreements with the Israelites. And he asked relatively little of them in order to meet that agreement. It failed time and time again, but God is, in his consistency, kept making the agreement and held to it. So what we have here is we have this thing where we have him speaking to the Israelites saying, hey, Come make this agreement. Why do we need to make this agreement? Well, this is kind of their part of the deal. So he says, I've made you a witness to the world, to all the peoples of the world, ruler and commander of the peoples. Surely you will summon nations you know not, and nations you do not know will come running to you. That's a lovely image. Nations you do not know, nations like this one that didn't even exist, will come running to you. It's like, I will give you everything if you just tell others about me. I will give you all you could possibly want if you invite others to come and join. It's a very low bar of entry. It's a very low requirement for a covenant. Just help me out here. Talk to others about me. It's the same agreement that God made with each one of us when we became a Christian. I'm not going to ask a lot of you. You don't have to meet this high bar. You don't have to be exceptional. You don't have to pray 35 times a day to me. You don't have to commit great works in my name. You just got to listen. You got to just do what I ask. And by the way, when you have an opportunity, tell others about me. I want to love them too. It's not a lot. Well, there's a reason we're called sheep. If you know anything about farming, you know that's not a compliment. But at any rate, he speaks and he says, summon, they'll come running to you, because the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, has endowed you with splendor. And that splendor is his presence. That splendor is I want to give them this love. This is what you are holding. This is the precious gift I give to you. You are meant to share it. We are all meant to share it. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake their ways and the unrighteous their thoughts. Let them turn to the Lord, and he will have mercy upon them. And to our God, for he will freely pardon. Okay. Again, not a lot to ask, right? Focus on me. Turn away from the other stuff that's irrelevant. Focus on me. Focus on me. Whatever you've done, I will pardon you. Whatever you've done, we can fix it. We can make it better. We can make you better. There is no God in ancient to modern history, there is no God invented by man that offers this kind of deal. There's not. The only one that offers this deal is the one that invented us. So when you look at all of the span of human history, every deity, every religion, there's always some price to pay. There's always some bar. There's always some step that you have to take, something you have to do. And you know why? Because that's some component where man is in control. Well, you're not meeting the bar, so you have to do this a little bit more. You have to do the frustrating thing about God is men can't control it. Men can't step in and be a barrier of entry. That's not possible. This relationship, as it was between God and Israel, is between God and each and every one of us. There's nobody standing between us. All he's saying is, turn to me. Come to me. I will pardon whatever it is. We'll fix it. You don't need to go through all of these things that other people require. It's just between me and you. It's a powerful statement because, as I said, this is unheard of in the ancient world to the modern world. It's an entirely different way of doing things. It turns religion on its head because it's not really about the religion, it's about relationship. Man can do religion wonderfully. We can create this elaborate scheme that will help you if you accelerate your learning and reach the 9th level of whatever, then we'll give you the secret information that only if you have, and blah, blah, blah. It's pointless and unnecessary. So, here's where we get into the interesting parts about what's happening next. So he talks about, guys, my ways are higher than your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Basically saying, you may not understand this, but you don't have to. You're never going to. I'm working at a different level here, but I'm working for your benefit. I'm here to provide what's best for you, even when you yourselves do not know it. And I'm thinking quite a few steps ahead, so it's all right. As the snow falls, as the rain falls, it will nourish the earth. In the same way, I will nourish you. In the same way, where you go, I will follow, I will be there, and I will make the ground flourish. It's a simple thing. Now, why is this part important? As I said, this is coming to the end of what was known as the Babylonian exile or captivity. Soon, unbeknownst to the Babylonians, the Achaemenid Empire was going to sweep in. And they were going to basically conquer Babylon. And one of the key things of this empire, the Achaemenid Empire, would do that would change the face of this part of the world is it would tell the Jews, you're going back home. Go. Live your lives. Live your religion. We're fine. You're okay. Go. And they said that to a number of other peoples that were there as well. Go. You're free. Another unprecedented event in ancient history. An opportunity that undoubtedly was the hand of God. If you read this, you know what's coming. It says here, you will go out in joy, be led forth in peace. The mountain and hills will burst into song before you, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Think about this. Think about you are someone who's lived in a land that is not your own your entire life. And then you've had prophets around you who have said, a day will come, a day will come. You want to believe, but you've not seen any evidence. You're still in Babylon. And then one day they tell you, you're free to go. Your homeland's waiting for you. Go. I can't imagine that journey filled with people, generations of people who had never seen the place they were going. It's a place they knew that was promised to them, a place that their grandparents and great-grandparents had told them stories about. In the same way, that's what we experience coming to Christ. We're taken to a land that we've not known, but was always promised for us. We were given a vision of what could be. And to be honest with you, anyone that came to Christ and really embraced it, you understand what that promised land can be. You understand what it can be like. It's a perfect no. Do we have rough times? Of course we do. Do we have to be taught lessons? Absolutely. But that promised land is within us. Wherever we go, it's within us. And quite honestly, it worked the same way for them too. Now granted, this was before Christ, but what happened to these people? Well, in this course of this time away, where they were absent from the land that they had taken for granted, and they had taken it for granted. They were in this world that was wholly not their own, completely foreign, and they were expected to live. And they lived generation after generation with the promise one day that they might be able to go home. But do you really believe it? The Babylonian Empire was all powerful. There's no way that they would get to go home. But they still had faith. And through the course of this, what happened is the Israelites became Jews. They galvanized their beliefs, they galvanized their culture, and they instilled it in a way that they never would have in Israel. They carried their culture with them. They carried their belief system with them. So it didn't matter wherever they were in the world, they were God's chosen people, and they knew it. It became a part of them. So when they came back to Israel, they came back as a people who were the children of God, who understood what that faith meant, who knew that they were going home to God's promised land, but that they were children of God to begin with and always were. And it's not surprising that within a year of moving back, the first thing they started working on was a new temple. It was the most important thing to them. Before even Jerusalem was rebuilt, they were working on that temple. It had changed them. They had gone through this process, this time in the wilderness, and they found their faith. In the same way, we as individuals go through periods where we may not understand it, we may not be clear on what the objective is, but God's constant consistency is there for us. And if we may spend time in a place or a time or a situation that's less than ideal, there may be a reason. And we will see it on the other side. If you look, every one of us in here has been through rough times. And you made it, right? You came out of it. And I think for most of us, we've been through this journey in Christianity in our own walk in the same way that the Jews did, where we have discovered over time the importance of that relationship and how much God is willing to do for us. And as real as this is for me, I want to make sure that everyone else here is clear. If you're not getting that, if you're not to that place, we are here for you. Come talk to me. Stuart is here all the time. Come talk to Stuart. I want everyone to have the same degree of certainty and joy that is your birthright. You've been given it by God. It's meant for you in the same way it was meant for the Israelites. Eventually they discovered it. If you haven't yet, it's a great time. It's a great time because it will transform your life. It will transform every aspect of who you are for the better. For the better. So I encourage you as we come into this Christmas season and we're reminded of the gift of the constancy of God, of the scripture that, and if anybody wants a copy of those scriptures, I'm happy to give them to you. Of how the word of God flows from Isaiah at 539 BC up until the first couple hundred years after the birth of Christ. That message is the same. It doesn't change. God's message to us doesn't change. I love you. You're really imperfect, but we can work on that. I can work on that in you. You don't have to meet a bar for me. Come to me, I will get you over the bar. It's just that simple. There is no simpler gospel, simpler good news, simpler message in the whole of creation than that. There's no scheme devised by man that can compare to that. Come to me, I will help you. That's all. Let's pray. Lord, as we gather in this time of festivities, in the time of recognizing the birth of Jesus and everything that he means to each one of us, Isaiah is a great reminder of the constancy of God, that he's been saying the same message all along, that he finally had to send his son to die for us and provide us a way forward that we could finally embrace him and say, we love you, and understand how much more deeply he loves us. Lord, I pray if anyone has questions or concerns, come to one of us. Talk to us about this. This is not just a life-changing journey for an individual. This is a life-changing journey for an entire race, an entire species. Lord, you have been there for us from the beginning, and you will be there for us till the end. Lord, I pray that as we go forward, as we move ever closer to the Christmas celebrations, where we are surrounded by distractions, as well as family, and as well as lovely times, that you would help us to remember that your consistency has been there from the beginning, that you are always there for us, waiting for us to turn to you. Lord, I pray that you would keep it present in our minds that is the first choice, not the last. Lord, I pray that you would be with each one of us as we go out, that you would encourage us and remind us of your love throughout this season. In your as we humbly pray, Lord. Amen.